Yo, what is up guys? Back here with another video. Today we are going to be going over two different rental teams that I've made for Series 10 so far. Obviously Series 10 has just started, so we haven't really gotten into the full development meta yet, but I wanted to give you guys a good starting point for you guys to work on so you guys would feel a little bit more comfortable with the format. So you guys are going to have access to both the Groudon and Xerneas Team, and I'll be breaking down both of those. If you guys enjoyed this video and you guys would like to learn how to play Series 10, make sure to check out my coaching, which will be linked down below. It's a great way to just get to know me if you want to talk to me, and also to get really good Pokemon practice. Besides that, make sure to follow the Twitch where I also do other content, and make sure to check out all the other links down below. But yeah, with that said, we're going to go right into the video. We're going to start out with the Groudon team and then end up with the Xerneas team, and then I'll do a little outro with you guys. So thank you again, and see you guys in the video. So here we are with the first team. So the first team is going to be Groudon team. So why is Groudon strong in this format? What are its strengths? What are its weaknesses? So basically, Groudon as a mon pretty much can struggle a little bit versus Kyogre, so you have to be sure to be able to deal with that. Venusaur on this team does help with that. But we're going to be breaking down these teams individually by one member at a time, obviously starting with Groudon, and then we'll be going through the reasoning for every single Pokemon on this team. So for Groudon specifically, it is running Life Orb. That's going to help beef up its Precipice Blade's damage so that it can actually do a lot of damage to opposing Zacian. Now, Zacian, obviously a very strong mon in this format, has to be respected, so you have to make sure that you're dealing enough damage. So with Groudon having Life Orb, it can actually deal a substantial amount of damage. Its coverage move being Rock Slide, so that Rock Slide can hit stuff like Ho-Oh, which shouldn't be too common, but it's still nice to hit. Yveltal, and all those other restricteds who can be immune to Groudon's ground moves. And also good just to hit flying types in general. So we are running Sword Dance on this Groudon as well. Sword Dance allowing Groudon to beef up its attack, especially good versus Intimidate spam, so that Groudon isn't susceptible to Intimidates, basically. Along with that, obviously Groudon's going to be running Protect. Protect is just a good move to keep yourself safe with your positioning. So the next mon I want to touch on is actually going to be Venusaur. So Venusaur is running a Focus Sash here, more so focused around spreading sleep this time around because of its loss of access to Gmax Vine Lash. Venusaur not having access to Gmax Vine Lash anymore is a little bit it's a little bit of a hurt for it, but it's still a solid Sleep Powder mon. Also really solid because it checks Kyogre, and it also checks opposing Groudon. So it definitely gives it a really sizable niche in the format. Can still go for Sleep Powders. Obviously, you can't remove Sleep Powder from Venusaur. You can remove Vine Lash, but you can remove Sleep Powder. So yeah. In terms of moves, Leaf Storm, Sludge Bomb, you want to run its main stabs. It's pretty straightforward. I'm actually going to move this Venusaur over. I don't like why it's like right there. Yeah, it was off center. Anyways, but yeah, so for the Venusaur itself, pretty much having it running its stab moves is very good. It allows it to hit fairy types like Xerneas. The grass move obviously is just really good coverage for both Groudon and water types in general, also Kyogre, of course. And then Sleep Powder is just a really good status move. This one is running Protect. You do lose access to Dynamax, so you can't just kind of like brave through Protect or like use Sleep Powder to turn into max guard. So you do want to utilize Protect on Venusaur. Now, for Volcarona, Volcarona is a really cool pick. So Volcarona is really good in these kind of formats, especially Dynamax formats, because of its ability to redirect away pretty much Zacian, Gothitelle, and Urshifu. So if you guys don't know, the main thing and the main issue with this format is probably going to end up being those combination of mons. They're very strong. Gothitelle's trapping is very strong in the format as well. So pretty much this Volcarona is basically full defensive. It's running Heat Wave, Struggle Bug, Rage Powder, and Protect. You can tech Whirlwind on the Volcarona to deal better with opposing Xerneas. I figured because we had Celesteela, it wasn't as much of an issue, but you can still put Whirlwind on Volcarona over Protect if that's something you want to do. So Volcarona has access to Flame Body, which is very good because pretty much what you can do with Volcarona is Rage Powder, take a bunch of damage from physical attackers such as Zacian, Urshifu, and pretty much you can have a chance to burn them. It's a 30% chance to burn them every contact move. And specifically for Urshifu Water, you live 3 hits from Urshifu Water, so every hit that it does on you, it's a 30% chance to burn it. And then Zacian obviously is pretty much walled by you because both of its main attack moves are resisted. Even if it was running the coverage move in Play Rough, it's still walled. The only thing that it could really hit you neutrally with is Wild Charge, which most don't run. So very solid mon. I definitely am excited to see Volcarona in this format. I think Volcarona is a very good option. Typically, it's seen on Xerneas teams, which you will see on our Xerneas team that we have up next. But Volcarona, very solid option. Citrus Berry allowing you to take a bunch of hits. So for our next mon, Celesteela is very, very solid as an endgame option in this format. Pretty much this team is obviously pretty offensive with the Groudon and the Venusaur. So what you're able to do is you're able to actually kind of remove a lot of mons quickly and then set up for your Celesteela endgame. This Celesteela happens to carry Iron Defense. Iron Defense going to allow you to obviously set up and kind of wall whatever the opponents bring versus you kind of in the late game, as long as they're physical attackers. And then obviously Leech Seed as well will just allow you to kind of sit there and just take hits. This Celesteela is running Flash Cannon. You can change it to Heavy Slam if you'd like. Heavy Slam is a little bit better versus certain mons. I'm running Flash Cannon specifically just because I wanted a special attacker on the team, just to kind of balance out that physical special thing. So I wouldn't be too weak to Incineroar. But yeah, so Celesteela, very solid option, mostly focused around being an endgame mon, and with Iron Defense, obviously a very strong threat. So onto Incineroar. Incineroar is pretty straightforward. Incineroar just gives this team pretty much, obviously a strong fire move to really capitalize off of Sun with. Gives you Parting Shot and Taunt. Taunt able to shut down opposing Trick Rooms if you don't want to deal with them. And having Fake Out so that you can disrupt opponents. Obviously, Incineroar is not pretty much a no-brainer. You don't really have to worry about explaining that one too much. It also gives this team a bit better of a Calyrex Ice and a Calyrex Shadow matchup. So yeah, that's just pretty strong. And then also too, having the safety goggles on the Incineroar just helps versus opposing Venusaur and versus opposing Amoonguss. So yeah, and then going to Porygon 2. Porygon 2 is going to be running Tri-Attack, Foul Play, Recover, and Trick Room. Foul Play allows you a way to hit Calyrex Ice if it's really boosted up, and also allows you to hit Calyrex Shadow so you're not walled by it. Foul Play is also really nice for stuff like Swords Dance Groudon, other stuff like that where pretty much there's a lot of attack boosting going on. And Tri-Attack, obviously a strong move in general. This Porygon 2 is EV to be a little bit bulkier on the defensive end, so that it can take hits from Urshifu and Zacian pretty well. So pretty straightforward. Porygon's not too crazy there. You do want a Trick Room option on a Groudon team so that you can kind of Trick Room and just position yourself better. So yeah, that is the main point of Porygon on this team. Now we're going to be going over some common leads for this team. And also, guys, if you're wondering where the rental code is, just in case you haven't spotted it, it's literally right above the mons, right here. But yeah, so just in case you guys were looking for rental codes. But yeah, so common leads, Incineroar, Porygon 2. This lead is focused around setting Trick Room early in the game. This is going to allow you to bring in your Groudon a little bit later, and then pretty much set up Trick Room for it so it's moving faster. Now, the second lead, Venusaur Groudon, obviously very standard lead. This is pretty much what you would lead into not Kyogre, because if you lead this in the Kyogre and then they're in the back, it could be potentially bad for you. So you can actually lead this in the Kyogre, but you have to make sure that you don't get caught out of position where you're going to get water spouted by a Kyogre. But yeah, overall, pretty solid pair. I'd say this is probably one of the most common pairs in GS Cup I've probably seen in like a long time. These two have been paired together for a long, long time. So yeah, I mean, obviously Venusaur able to go for Sleep Powders, which kind of enables Groudon Swords Dance. You can just go straight on the offense with like Leaf Storm. The coverage of both of these mons really plays off of each other well. So yeah. And then the final lead here is going to be Volcarona Groudon. This lead is better for people who don't have many answers to Groudon itself. You can pretty much go for Rage Powder and Swords Dance immediately. You can potentially go for Struggle Bug, Protect, just to kind of weaken the offense of the opposing team. Also, Groudon supports Volcarona great because now you have Volcarona, which can redirect any grass moves from Groudon and any ice moves from Groudon. And then Groudon itself is also really good versus stuff that's good versus Volcarona, such as like rock types and obviously flying types because you have Rock Slide. So yeah, that's pretty much the rundown on this team. We're going to be going into the Xerneas team, which you guys can see as well. Both of these teams actually have Volcarona, but yeah, main concept of this team, you have an offensive Sun mode, you have an endgame mode with Celesteela, you have a Trick Room mode with Porygon 2 and Incineroar, and it gives you a lot of flexibility. In these kind of formats, it's very important to have a lot of flexibility in what you can do, especially versus your opponents. So yeah, we'll be going into the next Xerneas team, and hope you guys enjoyed this Groudon team. So here we are with the second team, which is going to be a Xerneas team. So as I mentioned, this team also is utilizing Volcarona as well. We'll be breaking down the mons individually one by one to give you guys kind of a description on what each of them does, and I'll talk about some common leads with you guys for this team as well. So you can see the rental code is up above, so if you guys would like to use this team, you have access to it as well. Obviously, these are all available for you guys to use, for you guys to try out, so hopefully you enjoy all the teams. Now, The main thing to the main thing to keep in mind with this team is that obviously it's a Xerneas team, so you're kind of focused around setting up the Geomancy on your Xerneas. You want it to be set up so that it can be doing a bunch of damage, especially after those Geomancy boosts. Now, starting with the first mon, which is going to be Regieleki here. Regieleki carrying Magnet. Regieleki is just a really strong damage dealer. It also kind of allows you to break through some steals that can be potentially annoying for Xerneas to break. Regieleki kind of gives you options to really just deal strong neutral damage, along with just hitting other water types pretty hard. So we're going to see pretty standard moveset: Electro Web, Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, and Protect. All those moves are pretty much standard on a Magnet Regieleki. It's going to let you chunk a lot of different mons. If we continue looking at the team, we're going to see Volcarona as well. So Volcarona is utilizing a Citrus Berry. As I mentioned in the previous team, Volcarona has enough bulk to eat up a bunch of Wicked Blows from Urshifu, also Surging Strikes from Urshifu, and hits from Zacian. So it's pretty much meant to utilize the Flame Body to put some pressure on the Mons, potentially get the burn off, and really just prevent all those Mons from really doing too much. It really protects Xerneas from Zacian as well. You can lead it in tandem with Xerneas, so you can go for Rage Powder. It is Struggle Bug to shut down other Xerneas when you go for Struggle Bugs, and also you have Heat Wave as well to deal some strong damage. Then we go to Landorus. Landorus is able to do a lot in terms of pivoting, and it's also able to reduce a lot of damage as well. The main thing that Landorus wants to do specifically on this team is kind of cycle in and out, spread Intimidates for Xerneas, and U-turn potentially to get Xerneas in. This Landorus is also carrying Rock Tomb, which is going to give you a little bit more speed control versus some of the faster Restricteds, potentially going for maybe a Protect on Xerneas, going for a Rock Tomb, and then being able to outspeed next turn and go for a Geomancy. So yeah. And then for the Incineroar, Incineroar is utilizing Taunt. This is just to shut down opposing Trick Rooms. You get Parting Shot, which is able to reduce the stats of the opposing mons that you're playing versus, and obviously standard Incineroar stuff. Then you have Fake Out and Flare Blitz, both equally important on Incineroar's kit. Fire move to break through a lot of different steals that Xerneas has trouble with, and get through a bunch of different mons. And then you have Fake Out as well to disrupt opposing mons. And Fake Out, obviously, because there is no Dynamax in Series 10, is going to be a lot stronger. Xerneas, pretty standard set. As I mentioned, it's focused around getting up its Geomancy. It has access to Moonblast, Dazzling Gleam, Geomancy, and Protect. Pretty much, you're going to want to get the Geomancy up to really get the most out of your Xerneas, but you can also sometimes go for attacks and then kind of set up the Geomancy later. So that's also a very valid option. Also, too, looking at the next mon, Rillaboom, is kind of just enabling the same thing from Xerneas. The Grassy Terrain is really good because you get a lot of residual recovery on the Regieleki, the Volcarona, the Incineroar, and the Xerneas, along with the Rillaboom itself. The Rillaboom with Miracle Seed is also really good because then you can go for stuff like fast Geomancy boosted Xerneas Dazzling Gleams plus Grassy Glide, really soften up some Focus Sashes, or just do a bunch of damage to Mons and then follow up with the Moonblast. Even versus Zacian, I think like a Grassy Glide and Moonblast does like 90% to it combined. So even if the Zacian's a little bit chipped, you're in a position where you can just kind of remove it very quickly if you're set up with Geomancy. The Rillaboom's also utilizing U-turn as well. As you can see, there's a lot of pivoting on this team because it's going to allow you to get your Xerneas in the right position to really go for that Geomancy. And then it has access to Protect. That's just a really good move for Rillaboom to prevent people from U-turning or parting shotting off of it. So you're in the perfect position you want to be. And then having Fake Out as well to disrupt opposing mons so that Xerneas has the opportunity to set up Geomancy. So you're going to see a lot of ways to enable Xerneas setting up Geomancy. If we look down below at the common leads, you're going to see actually those mons down there make a lot of sense for kind of what we're looking for, right? So with Incineroar and Xerneas lead, pretty much you have the option of Fake Out and going for a Geomancy. You can even potentially go for a Parting Shot and a Protect. Parting Shot into Rillaboom, get another Fake Out, and you've also reduced the damage of one of the mons on the opposing side of the field. Also, too, the Fake Out play plus Geomancy is just a very standard VGC play, especially strong in no max format. Then we have Regieleki Landorus. This is typically good versus teams that have a very strong steel type, such as like Stack Attacker or Zacian. If you're not utilizing, obviously, Volcarona versus Zacian, where you can really just spread Intimidates early and then get your Xerneas in late game. So maybe going for Regieleki Landorus lead, having Incineroar and Xerneas in the back, or even Rillaboom and Xerneas in the back. Going for Volt Switches, consistently cycling in and out the Intimidates. Then at the perfect time, you either Volt Switch, U-turn, or Parting Shot in your Xerneas, set up Geomancy next to Fake Out or next to some form of like something to pressure whatever's on the field. And then the final lead, Volcarona Xerneas. This is a bit more of a top-heavy lead. You're pretty much leading the saying, I need you to respect my Xerneas. I want to deal a bunch of damage really early, and I want to put a bunch of pressure early. So typically this lead is good versus teams that don't have like an immediate direct check to Xerneas. And it's more so like an offensive mon that can check it. So not necessarily like Snarl or Struggle Bug, because if they have Snarl or Struggle Bug, they can just get around your Volcarona, so it's not the best. But it is a very strong lead, especially for putting on pressure against opposing mons. But yeah, you can go for stuff like Rage Powder Geomancy. You can potentially go for Struggle Bug Protect, even a Heat Wave Protect. And it can put you in really good positions. Volcarona is also really good at dealing with Steel types that Xerneas doesn't want to deal with, specifically Kartana, so you have the option of that. So yeah, that's going to be this team. That's pretty much going to be the rundown of both teams. We'll do a little outro kind of talking about a little summary of the teams, but this is the Xerneas team. Hey guys, thank you for watching the video. Super appreciate it. Yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed these teams. Obviously, it is a little bit early format, but I do feel really confident with these teams. Won a couple of room tours with these teams as well, so I didn't just like make them and like send them out. These are teams I actually like did well with and practiced on like Showdown and stuff. So hopefully that is going to help you guys out and to give you guys a good starting point for teams. Xerneas teams too, I think have won like majority of the Showdown tournaments so far as well. So pretty much like Xerneas is probably one of the best mons in the format right now. But yeah, we will be doing more videos like this, most likely. Make sure to let me know if you guys did enjoy this video, because then I'll definitely be doing more. And let me know what kind of Series 10 content you guys would like to see next. Super appreciate all your guys' support. Make sure to check out the links down below, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, and catch you guys in the next video. Peace.